recently had colon or rectal cancer, how would you get started into it, hypothetically?
Hypothetically, well, so the first thing is diabetes. The longest we ever had a client who completely came off of their insulin, who had diabetic symptoms, was 2 weeks. They'd been injecting insulin for 20 years, so it took them 2 weeks. Everybody else, 2 to 3 days to completely reverse all their symptoms, because all diabetes really is diabetes is pancreatic exhaustion. In other words, your pancreas is unable to produce appropriate enzymes. So what do the doctors tell you? Use insulin. That is, again, in the category of dumb as a bag of hammers. All you have to do is have really high quality enzymes. So what you're doing is you're supporting your pancreas. You're taking the load off your pancreas so it can regenerate. That's the simple way to deal with diabetes, at least my experience is. And then for cancer, we'll wrap up when Dan gets back in here. We'll flip the camera off. Do you have any symptoms still, or are you done with all that?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Western version, they say, I still do, but like what I noticed after the whole Valerie section, blah, 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 was listening to more chemo and radiation. It's like, for me, by that time, I'd already looked into some other things, and I was done. So the thing for me is I think everything's gone symptom-wise, but the whole, like, as a diabetic, I drink a lot of water. And as a rectal cancer patient, they're like, oh, well, you're going to use the bathroom 15 to 20 times a day, so here's hydrocodone. You know, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So the thing about cancer is that cancer has to have food. So rule of thumb, the reason do you know what the Gerson program is? You might get a copy of their book or look on YouTube. I think that there's a couple of videos up of Gerson's daughter actually doing some talks, and she's like 70 or 80 years old now. The reason that they had such great effect from their program, I believe, is just because they were feeding people raw juice. So, you know, they're basically, it wasn't so much what they were putting in, although that is good, raw juice is great, it was what they were taking out. So they took them to a clinic, and they cut out all their cigarettes, all their alcohol, all their prescription meds, all the cooked food, all the animal food, all the processed food, gave them raw juice. And whoa, it's a miracle, everybody gets better. What? You know, if you stop eating the stuff that created that cancerous sort of environment to begin with, then, you know, it naturally corrects itself, even if there's not really any intervention. A lot of times. I mean, sometimes there may have to be some intervention. And, you know, I would definitely keep checking on that, because you don't want to get in a situation where you've got some sort of symptomology that's presenting and, you know, gets away from you, because that's no good. Yes, so in general, that's a great way to go. Another thing is that a lot of cancer has components that are microbial. There are microbial components, and there are also other pathogenic components like chemical and metal accumulations. And you can talk with Melissa or Dan about chelators. We sell a chemical and a metal chelator to suck old stuff out of your body. And also for microbes, you can't get it anymore. MMS is great. And pretty soon, I'm sure, since the FDA is closing everybody down making MMS, it's so dirt cheap to make that everybody's going to be making in their garage, which is what Jim Humble's goal was anyway. MMS is sodium chloride. You know about that?
A little bit, not a lot. But.
See if you can look around online and find at least one of the MMS DVDs. They're probably still around. And watch one of those. That's one of the most awesome products ever created. They're putting them in a packaging. You know, $30 will last any one human 2 or 3 years. So $10 a year. A bad marriage. You worked at a sucky job. That's a technical term. You had a two-hour commute one way every day. So you're on the road 4 days, breathing in exhaust, being stressed out all the time in your car, getting to work, breathing all that off gas, low oxygen, high particulate matter air. In other words, if you live in a situation that is constantly stressing yourself, it makes no difference what you've got, what your symptom is that's presenting, it's going to get worse. So if you're in a situation where you've got a life-threatening set of symptoms that's presenting, I recommend, strongly suggest, you fix everything in your life that you can fix. Going to a doctor and saying that, you know, well, they tell me I've got cancer when you're living in a situation like I just died. Well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe your body's just so stressed out that you got no energy to do any kind of recuperation. So I typically eat one meal a day around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. That's it. If I eat anything else later in the night, it's some chocolate Bliss to drink or some kind of high water content fruit. So the other thing is that our bodies work in 2 modes. We're either in activity mode or we're in regeneration mode. So as the sun comes up, the serotonin in our brain says we're getting more and more active. The sun starts going down, our body's serotonin levels flips us into maintenance mode, regeneration mode. If we eat late at night, like this is, you know, ain't any much regeneration going on here tonight. At least that's my story. So if we eat late at night, and particularly if we constantly eat late at night, like I know people that, you know, they eat dinner like 8 o'clock and then they have another, you know, snack at midnight, and then they wonder why they feel bad the next morning. It's like,
how do you do that if you're in the corporate world and you don't get home until 6:30 and then you're trying to eat raw and you really don't sit down to eat your even raw dinner until 8 o'clock or 7:30? And that's kind of what I would say we face because we both work so much.
good question. So 2 things. One, join davidfavor.com/meetup and go through the process of developing some sort of online business with all the other people. There's hundreds of people that we're working with now. Figure out how to do that to replace your income so that you no longer are faced with that nonsense. The problem with, you know, things that we have control of, we have to fix those things. We are responsible ourselves to fix whatever we can fix. The other thing about, even if I was working at a 9-to-5 job, I'd still be eating the same way I am now. I just have chocolate Bliss. I'd drink it in the mornings, I'd have 1 meal in the afternoon, and I'd drink it the rest of the day.
Can I chip in on that?
Sure, chip in. These are really good.
Yummy. So I worked in corporate America, I'm familiar with that. I don't now, and I do my raw food journey from home, but I can see how things would translate. And man, even working around here, like I'll drink Bliss all day long, and I'll look back at the end of the day, I'm like, what did I eat today?
I eat today?
Oh, I had Bliss. And by the end of the day, I crave something fat. And so if I have an avocado with fiesta mole on it,
that's my normal meal.
Then I'm done. I don't want potato chips, I don't want a cooked meal, I don't need lettuce, you know, just the avocado, maybe a little lemon juice, a little fiesta mole, and then just spoon it right into my mouth. The taco eat is super quick and easy. You can make a big batch, keep it in the freezer, and I mean, like making tacos isn't really that much different. That's such a quick meal. And I mean, our version of tacos, it's a blend of raw and cooked. Like we do a raw goat cheese that we get because we like a little cheese to go with the franks. But you could even just have lettuce on hand and put a little taco eat on it, and you'd be good to go. So having a lot of things like that on hand if you crave something chewy. But even like a smoothie at the end of the day, it's not something you're conditioned to desiring or thinking about, but the more you eat healthy throughout the day, easier it is for you to go, oh yeah, that would taste good. And you can so change, like sometimes I even put peanut butter in my smoothie. If I'm craving fats or proteins or something, or put an avocado in, like I pay more attention to what is it that I'm really desiring, and you can still eat light and raw at the end of the day and have it be good. It's just what we're most of us used to. We're used to eating the cooked food that puts you into a coma so you can.
Well, it's what we learned. I mean, I grew up on a cattle ranch, so I ate, you know, beef, 1.5 pounds of beef every day until I was 25.